solve quadratic equations, some simple type, but before we do that, we're going to revise some of the fundamental expansion and factorization. Okay, let's look at this one. See if you recognize what this is, the first one. Not equal to 0. Yeah, not perfect square. No, perfect square if they are both the same. This is not perfect square. They are plus and minus. There's a special way to expand them. Yes, difference of 2 squared, because if you go a times a, you get a squared. A times -3, -3a, 3a, and -3 squared. So notice that the middle two term gets cancelled. That's why you get difference of 2 squared. So the answer is a squared minus 9. So whenever you see one bracket with plus, second bracket with minus, and everything else is the same, you get difference of 2 squares. Yes? How about the second one? What do you get? You get y squared minus 3y, which is not difference of 2 squares. Okay? All right. Let's do the opposite. Instead of expanding, we're going to factorize. I'm going to give you a clue. Write this as e squared minus 4 squared. Now guess what's inside these two brackets? Yes, the difference of the 2 square factorization. Okay? We're going to use this to solve quadratic equations. How about the second one? Is that difference of 2 squares? No, why? There's a yes, so it's not difference of 2 squares. Excellent. So in that case, you take out a common factor. So write e minus 16. Does that make sense? Alright, these are the revision stuff. We're now going to apply that to quadratic equations. Okay. Alright, let's do the next one. We're going to solve this quadratic equation. Okay, next one. All right, now, to solve this, we first factorize first. How do we factorize? Yep. Thank you. All right. So once you factorize, remember the null factor law we learned yesterday. What's the null factor law say? Yeah, a times b is 0 means either a is 0 or b is 0. So in that case, that tells us that x has to be 0, isn't it? That's one of the factor, or the other factor is x plus 4 has to be 0. Now, what's the next step after this? We have to find out what x is. It's already 0. The other one is -4. Does that make sense? That's how we solve this quadratic equation, by factorizing and null factor law. Okay, good. Any question? So all the algebraic skill we learned before is important in this topic because factorization helps us to solve quadratic equations and many other equations that you'll learn later on in the course and later in the years. Any question? Yep. All right. Hopefully everyone has written it down. I'm going to move on to the next column. There's more equations, but we'll use the same approach. We factorize. How about this one? What do we do? Now, yes, you put it in standard form. Very good. You put it in standard form. Must write in standard form. What's the standard form? That's when you put all terms on x plus c equal to 0. So you have to make one side 0. Okay. Sorry. All right, let's continue. All right, now, once you put it in standard form, what do? We have to factorize. How do we factorize? 2x is common, so what's left over? Yes. And once we factorize, what do we use? Null factor law. Null factor. law. Okay, so the null factor law states that either 2x is 0 or x minus 4 is 0. And how do I solve the first one? X equal to 0 over 2, which is just 0. Right? And the other one, x equal to 4. 0 or 4. Yes? Good. Yeah, fraction, but 0 over anything is 0, except for 0 itself. Yeah, it's a fraction. Yeah, 0 divided by 2. Yes. Good. Thank you. Yes, we've done it. Now there's more to go. Okay, all right. 0 over 0, you can't do 0 over 0. So if I show you on a calculator, you get math error. Yeah, you can't do 0 over 0. In fact, you can't divide 0 by anything divided by 0 is not possible. Now, why not? Now, say we do 6 divided by, why does it not work? Okay, 6 divided by 2, what's the answer? Why? Why 3? Because 2 times 3 is 6, right? Now, let's imagine doing this. 6 divided by 0 equal to question mark. The question is, what times 0 becomes 6? The null factor law says that that has to be 0, so which is impossible. Does that make sense? That's why you can't divide by 0, because that doesn't have an answer. So you can never divide by 0. That's not possible. You can go 0 divided by 6, but not this. Does that make sense? Okay, good. Let's wrap this off. And let's do the next one. Now, Jack, did you say finished? Can you tell me what to do next? And then square root. Yeah, but we'll try to solve by factorizing. This one, we want you to factorize. What would you do instead? That's a difference of 2 squared. So you go x squared minus 4 squared. I know it's more complicated, but that's what they want you to do. And then what do you do next? They use x. Yes. And they want you to use null factor law rather than square root. Okay, thank you. All right, so write down x plus 4 is 0 or x minus 4 is 0. So the idea is to use the null factor law to solve. I know there's another way, but we'll prefer to use this way first for this topic. So what do we get? X equal to negative 4 or x equal to 4? The null factor law. All good. One more question, then we're done. All right, Carl, do you want to get us started? Yeah, what's the first step? Give you a clue. What's the common factor? 3. Okay, now what goes in the bracket? X squared minus 9. Good. Now, notice that this is a difference of 2 squares. Let's rewrite this. If that's a difference of 2 squares, how would you write it? How would you factorize? Yeah, but that's the preparation. We haven't factorized it. You have to turn it into 2 brackets. So what goes in the brackets? X. Yes, perfect. Very nice. Got it? Okay, now we look at this equation. We use null factor law. But be careful. The null factor law only applies to things that can be 0. Now, 3 can't be 0, right? So you just ignore the 3, but you have to say this equal to 0 or the other one equals to 0. Does that make sense? The 3 can't be 0. It's already 3. It's fixed, right? It can't change. But when there's a polynomial, it can be 0. Oh, oops. That's okay. Undo. That's the marvelous things about computers. You can undo. All right. Actually, oops. Control Y. No, that's worse. Okay, now, oops. Okay, I'm going to write it again. X minus 3 equal to 0 or x plus 3 is 0. So what's x equal to? I'm going to ask Lena. Lena, what's x equal to? X minus 3 is 0. 3? How about the second one? Okay, good. Well done. Great finish. Okay. Now we're going to do the exercise today is exercise 10B. Okay? Questions? Dominic, go. Which is same thing, yes, plus or minus 3. So it's like writing plus or minus 3 separate. which is same as 3 or -3. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, thank you. Good question. Yes? Oh, the 3 can't be 0. It's almost like this is fixed. It can't be 0 again. Unless there's an x there. See, there's an x there, it can be 0. But when it doesn't have x, it can't be 0. Yeah, thank you.